Howdy, folks. Welcome to Mental Health Monday. My name is Kenneth Thomas, and on Mondays, I like to talk about different aspects and topics of mental health. And today, we're going to talk about something that's a little bit of a buzzword these days, toxic productivity. Okay, now, folks, if you are watching this on Facebook and you haven't already done this, if you want to be able to comment and have me see the comments while I'm live, you'll need to go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and then follow the little cues there and give StreamYard permission from Facebook to show your name and stuff. Otherwise, it's not going to work. All right. So if you want to participate from Facebook while I'm live, this is what you need to do. Now, I know a lot of people have talked about toxic productivity in a lot of different self-help things, a lot of different avenues of psychology and some of these kind of things, a lot of workplace coaches and mentors. A lot of people have been talking about toxic productivity. So if you're somebody who is dealing with this, then you probably already know what I'm talking about. So, for those of you who don't know, toxic productivity basically began with the hustle culture of always being on, succeeding, with the motivational idea that you have to stay connected, have to be engaged, reach unattainable targets, even if it affects your health. It's this, I've got to go constantly. You never take a break. And if you aren't doing these things, then you're crap. You suck. You're not committed. Why do we even have you at this company? Why are you even here? These are the kind of attitudes that come with toxic productivity, okay? One of the things that I know is a lot of people have this notion that you have to suffer for your success. There's a lot of phrases like no pain, no gain, and what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. Well, yes, this is true to an extent, but if this is something that has absolutely convinced you that you cannot reach any kind of success or make any kind of progress in your goals or your lives without a massive amount of suffering, check yourself. It's not really healthy. Now, if you're doing any kind of physical conditioning, yes, you're going to have pain in your muscles while they're getting used to that level of physical activity. And once you get to that level of when you want to push it a little bit more, yes, you're going to experience the pain. There is going to be no gain when there's no pain. So in a way, that is true. That's also true when you're trying to go through things in life that are pushing you outside of your comfort zone. So yeah, it's true to a point, but when it becomes something that is used to justify the fact that you feel like crap all the time and you are literally suffering, no, it's not good. It's no good. All right, let's talk about 5 signs of toxic productivity, okay? Number 1, you feel like a failure if you're not being productive. And that means if you're not in that moment every second of the day doing something productive, you feel like a failure. Okay? We're going to cover this. Number 2, you assess yourself based on what you have not done. Not what you have done, what you haven't done. Okay? So this is one of the reasons it's very important when you're working toward goals to set benchmarks. Okay? Like say you have the goal of you want to go out and run a marathon. Okay. Well, you're not going to do that in a day. So you need to start with running a certain number of distances, a certain amount of time. There's actually training programs for you to work up to what it takes to run a marathon. Okay. And they have benchmarks there. So you know that if you are after this much time of training and following the program, you know that you're ready for a half marathon. And you can go out and succeed and you make that benchmark. Now you know that you've made progress. But instead of going, I still haven't run a marathon, no, you're looking at what you have done, not what you haven't done. All right. Another big sign of this is number 3, you feel guilty if you enjoy relaxing time, spending time socializing, doing something that is a hobby. If you feel guilty about this, that's a big sign that you are dealing with toxic productivity. Okay, folks. Now this one, someone who likes to push themselves. Now this is not a bad thing, but it's one of those things where if it's carried to an extreme, it can be very unhealthy. Okay. And that's one of the things with a lot of these things. A lot of these things can be key indicators of a successful minded person. But if they're taken to an obsessive, extreme sense, it becomes toxic and unhealthy. Okay. The point where you drop constantly, not just pushing yourself to go a little bit further outside your lines. Let's see. I'm going to tell you right now, I have pushed myself over the last year. A year ago, I would not have been able to handle mentally and emotionally the challenge of driving from San Antonio, Texas to Salt Lake City and attending a convention where I had some people that I had met online, but I had nobody around me other than my service dog that I personally knew in a physical sense, that I had been around physically. I pushed myself literally over 1,500 miles out of my comfort zone. Okay. Pushing yourself is a good thing when it's done in progression, when it's done, and it's not something that I'm pushing myself to the point where I am so uncomfortable and so frazzled that I break down and I can't even drive. That would have been counterproductive on a road trip that's, 1,500 miles one way, so pushing yourself is not a bad thing, but when taken to extremes, it's unhealthy. All right. Another sign of toxic productivity is unusual fatigue. Now, yes, when you push yourself and you work hard, you're going to feel fatigue. But if you're feeling fatigue all the time, when you are constantly going and you never get to recover physically, emotionally, that's going to build up to these this toxic productivity is going to build up to this really out of the ordinary fatigue. And I'm not just talking, well, okay, I had a long day, I'm a little tired. Just no matter what, you just feel like you're dragging constantly. Coffee doesn't help, little pep me ups don't help. That's a sign that you may be dealing with, toxic productivity. All right. Now, toxic productivity feeds burnout and fatigue. And it's also a red flag for a lot of other issues. Now, as somebody who deals with depression and anxiety, I will tell you, if you or anyone you know deals with depression and anxiety, anything that contributes to it is a bad thing. Bad. We don't want it. We don't need it. We got enough on our plate. We have enough crap going on in our head. We don't need to contribute to that with some outside pressures. Excuse me. So, toxic productivity is definitely not helpful if you're the kind of person who's already dealing with anxiety and depression, right? And it really tips over into true burnout when there are no lines between work time and free time. When they're blended all the time, when it feels like your work time and your free time, there is no difference. Now, there are some circumstances and sometimes where this may be the nature of the beast. When I was a soldier deployed into a combat zone, there was a lot of overlap and blurring between free time and work time, okay? Because even if I wasn't on duty, I was always where I might have to respond to a situation on short or immediate notice. All of a sudden, mortar rounds are falling on the base. We're going to react, okay? We're under attack. So that's one of those things where you deal with it. And you deal with it for a certain amount of time. But if you're not dealing with that where you get a break, and you're not dealing with that where you're only going to be doing, one of the things we knew is like, hey, got the countdown going. I know how long I have to be here, and when it's over, I'm going home, and I won't have to be in this kind of environment. And the Army was actually doing a lot to try to teach me how to balance work and life. I'm not saying I necessarily caught it all. I'm not saying everybody does, but it is one of those things that is addressed. So there are times when it is going to happen, okay? But if it is your constant, everyday, day in, day out existence, and this goes on for years, it never changes, that is going to burn you out. That is bad. Now, one of the big things that you can do, you can set and stick to boundaries. All right? Here's one that I know I'm guilty of, and I'll bet anybody watching this video right now is probably guilty of this to at least some point. No cell phone at meal times. Why is this important? Two things. One, you need to disconnect from work. You need to disconnect from your office. You need to be away from that. I have to be on mentality. The other thing is it forces you to engage with the people that you are having this meal with. You are now engaged in social activity, not something necessarily linked to productivity. Okay? So I know all of us are going to have trouble with that one. Here's another one. Take a break after 3 hours of steady work. So if you have been working nonstop for 3 hours, get up, walk around, go outside, take a nature break, do something, but take a break, at least 15 to 20 minutes. All right? And if you don't have the ability to leave and go do something, take a break and do something different. One of the things I love about having a standing desk is there are times when I have to stay working at what I'm doing because I've got a deadline, I'm editing photos or whatever, and I can shift and stand, and now I'm changing. I can move around. I am not sitting in a sedentary, I'm changing things. It allows the body to physically recover, even though mentally I may be still kind of focused in on. But still, having that complete break for 15, 20 minutes is absolutely important. Now, here's another big one. You need to set aside specific time for your family. And this can be your partner, your spouse, your kids, your brothers, whatever. Set it aside and then protect it. If they call you and they're like, hey, we need you to come in, but you already had plans, protect it. Now, there are going to be times when you can't. I get it. Like you happen to be the store manager of a restaurant. I'm looking at my brother. But the fact of the matter is that as much as you can, when you set aside time for your family, you protect it. They're more important. Another big thing is get at least 7 hours of sleep a night. Man, I can go to bed early going, I'm going to get my 8 hours of sleep. But without fail, I'm going to wake up earlier than that. I promise you, it's going to happen. This works. But you know what? I need to have that block so that if my body is that fatigued, I can get that rest. Now, plan to have at least 2 large square meals per day. Nutrition is often overlooked as it contributes to fatigue and mental health, okay? If you're eating crap food all the time, now I'm not saying you shouldn't have your junk food as a treat or, to get that, I want to treat myself, I want that feel good feeling from having the yucky food, the yummy, not good for me food. I'm not saying that, but you need to eat healthier on the average. Okay. And you need to be eating 2 good square meals a day because that is going to properly fuel your body. All right. Here's another big one. Limit your social media. How many of us get stuck doing the doom scroll or going down the scroll hole, however you want to phrase it? How many of us get so wrapped up in that we lose track of what's going on around us? That's not healthy in a lot of ways. But here's the other thing. How many times do you end up seeing other people? You see a TikTok or you see something, I see a reel, and you see this person is doing something and they're like doing that. Wow. I wish I had time to learn something like that. Or look how productive they are and they're getting all these things done. And it used to be, keeping up with the Joneses. I mean, you were looking at your next door neighbors, the people in your little neighborhood. You weren't looking at millions of people all across the country and seeing the illusion that they are putting there on their social media. And the reason I say illusion is because, let's face it, a lot of that stuff, there's reality and then there's reality. Just like reality TV is scripted to a point. What you're seeing on social media is curated content, okay? It is not necessarily like you can pay attention to what's going on at the Joneses. Oh, they may have gotten a new card, but man, I hear them fighting a lot now because the money problem is getting a little stressed. So you don't get the full picture of what's going on like you did when it was your neighbors, especially when we were more engaged with our neighbors. So limiting your social media, not only is it going to give you the time to focus on the people around you, but it's also going to help you not be paying attention to what everybody else is saying that they're achieving, and it will allow you to recognize what you yourself are achieving. So that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about here with the toxic productivity. Got to get my lemonade. I'm talking a lot. Now, something I've started doing, I'm pretty much going to be ending all of my live streams with this. This is the phone number for the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. If you or someone you know is dealing with suicidal thoughts or suicidal ideation, if you are feeling so depressed that you feel like there's no point in you continuing to exist, I highly encourage you to call 1-800-273-TALK, TALK. That's 8255 for those of you who don't have the letters on your numbers. But call them. They will give you help because you are worth it. And there are people who will be devastated and miss you horribly if you're not here. So, till next time, folks, peace, love, and photography. And remember, everything can make a beautiful image, including you. Have a great afternoon, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.